Okay, hi everybody. Well, an interesting chair came into the shop the other day. It's actually a modern chair, although it looks like an antique. It's a Century furniture, and it's a reproduction, but it's a reproduction? Maybe not. I mean, I've never seen quite an original chair like this. So it's got this unusual carving that I think resembles what we used to call a box skirt. So this is a pretty interesting chair. But we've affectionately named this chair the Cyclops chair, though. So, and I'll show you why. And the customer wants it back. There's this big button that's put right in the middle of the back. So that's what this video is going to be about. This is a very unusual button. I don't think I've ever seen a button quite like this, but it was designed with the chair, which is interesting. It's a different button altogether. And I'm not going to go out and buy and purchase a $1,000 die cutting, a button machine and a die cuts for this particular button. It's a huge button. I'll show you. So it sits, this is the old fabric, it sits right here, but the design of the button is interesting. It can't be put on with the traditional loop, which you've seen me do before. It's actually got a screw and this clips, and I'm going to show you how to do this. We have to reuse that button, and we have to hand make the button. I think you may have seen me do handmade buttons, and for all of you people out there who can't afford a really big button machine, if you can over here, you see my button machine. This is a very expensive proposition. And most people, I think, if you know how to do buttons, bigger buttons are a little easier than the smaller buttons. But I bet if you're patient enough, if you want to reuse old buttons, which you know, if you ever use old buttons, you know that they're properly done, usually from the manufacturer. Try to stay away from all those button machines, those hand button machines that you see at some of the craft stores. They don't work, and they'll pop off, and then you'll be in trouble. So we're going to try to reuse this. So let's go over and watch me make this. Okay, so we have our operating table set up here. Kind of like surgery, really. So I have my needle, my 3-inch needle. I have some hand stitching thread. I have a cut piece of fabric that we're going to be using in the chair. I've cut it about an inch bigger around, like so. Okay, I saved all the components to that button machine. These clips are essential. Cardboard is essential. So the reason is, you'll see that we can't attach this button in a traditional way, and you'll see when I go back up after I make my button, you'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about a yard of this hand stitching thread. I'm going to thread my needle. And I'm going to thread this away from the button. So what I want to do is I'm going to be about a 1/2 inch in, and I'm just going to continuous stitches all the way around. I'm about, I don't know, 3/4 inch apart. I'm using a diamond pointed needle. They tend to slide easier in and out of the fabric than a round pointed needle. So this manufacturer actually they really engineered this chair really well. They actually engineered, I think, the button is engineered specifically to the chair. So I don't think I've ever seen these type of buttons. I'm going to go over some of the different types of buttons in a minute after I make this. And then you're going to meet the other end and just leave it loose. Okay, it's plenty of material to use. Now at this point, you need to know how to do a slip knot. Okay, so you put your button in here. Your slip knot is essential to this, right? And you've seen me do slip knots. I'm not going to actually, it's very difficult to show people a slip knot on this small thread, but if you go on, you're on our YouTube channel right now, you could just look up slip knot, and I think there's at least 2 videos on how to do that. So it's essential though to this. It's essential to this, to making this handmade button. And we're going to use our slip to slip that right around, really tight. And that's important not to use cotton thread, because I'm really putting some pressure on this. And my slip knot's really working out well. Look at that. I'm going to tie this off because I like it so much. Okay, so we need to make sure that this stem is coming through here pretty good. Okay, it's going to be difficult to get that through, but we'll do it. I'm going to cut this off. Okay, now I'm going to get my, just for the sake of this video, I'm not upholstering this yet. I'm just going to show you how the button is put through. Let's pretend this is upholstered with the green fabric that we're using here. I just want to show you the whole motive for this video is to show buttons, different type of button. Okay, so the button came with these two clips, and it came with almost like a screw on the other side that these clips will pull over this to make the button tight, which is essential to any button. It has to be tight, right? The cardboard's used just to take any point that's left off, and then it's put back on here. But I did want to, before I do this, I want to go over some buttons, so different types of buttons that I know of. We have a clinch back button, which is it's this one here. That's used oftentimes to speed the upholsterer up. I don't particularly like these ones, these clinch backs. You have a tack back, which is the tack goes through the top of the button and holds it. I don't particularly like that. What I use most of the time, all the time almost, is the loop back. Okay, but now the way they designed this chair though, you can't use a loop back because you have to really you have to pull the button tight and attach it somewhere. In this case, you'd be wrapping it around the inside back here. There's no place to put it. That's why they devised this button. So let's just see how this works. So hopefully it's going to work. So I'm going to go through the old hole and push it down, turn it over. So this is upholstered off the chair. This will be upholstered, and you put your button off the chair. Then you apply the whole thing. You apply the foam and the fabric onto the chair. But I'll show you that in a minute. We're going to switch views in a minute. So now these will clip right around. Watch this. Did you hear that? I don't know if you could hear that, but that was really beautiful. Did you hear that? Now they put a second one in so that it doesn't roll off. So there you go. So we're going to put the cardboard in here like this so that you don't see anything through the back. Now let's go up to the other view to show you. Okay. Okay, so you have your Cyclops ready to go, right? This would be fabric. You'd have your button already in there. And then you have your fabric put on like so. And then this is a little piece of, I usually use burlap here just to strengthen it. Okay, so let me just turn this around to show you. This was the problem area that these engineers came up with this button, all because of this. See, this is a very desired slat look, and it's really desired to see the slats and then the fabric behind it. It even shadows out nicely. I kind of like it. So your fabric goes on, then your burlap, right? So you can see where they would have a problem with the traditional button. So that, say this is upholstered. This is usually oversized, right? Fabric's hanging out, and then you attach your fabric and you put your trim on. And that's it. Thought you might enjoy that. Our Cyclops chair will be worked on this week in the shop. So we'll see you next time.